Hey there, it's Laura here from makingcardsisfun.com, and in today's video I'll be showing you how to create a galaxy background with Distress ink and Tonic Nuvo drops. So let's get started. First, I'm starting out by stamping some images from the Beam Me Up stamp set from Fawn onto some white cardstock using my Misty tool. So I'm positioning all of my stamps on my white cardstock, and then I can pick that up with my Misty tool and stamp all of these images at once. I had to ink up these stamps twice since this was the first time using the stamps, and whenever I use my stamps for the very first time, I don't get a really clear stamped impression. So then it's time to color these images. For my first alien, I'm using BG09, BG07, and BG02. I started out by blending my darkest color, then moving on to my mid-tone, and then finally I am blending everything together with the lightest color. Then for this purple alien, I'm showing you 3 different colors, but I actually ended up using only 2 of them. So I used V09 to color my first layer of shading, and then I am blending that with the V15 marker. So I decided that the V01 didn't give me enough shading or didn't give enough color. It wasn't too dark enough. So I ended up using the V15 as my lightest shade. So I just used V09 and V15, and that worked perfectly. Then for the turquoise alien, I am using BG13, BG32, and BG11. This is my favorite Copic color combination out there. These colors work great together, and it's just a really pretty shade of turquoise, I think. Then I'm coloring my final alien. I'm using some blue violet shades for that one. I'm using BV08, BV04, and BV02. So I usually repeat my coloring steps twice, sometimes even 3 times, before I am really satisfied with the result. Then I'm coloring the little heart of this flag using R29 and R22, and then for the flag itself I'm using N2 and NO. So I'm not going to show you how I colored the rest of these images since I'm using the same color combos, and since this video is mostly about creating a galaxy background. So I hope that you don't mind. So I die cut these images using the coordinating dies, but of course you can also just fuzzy cut them. Then it's time to create my galaxy background. I'm starting out with a shade of purple first. This is the Seedless Preserves Distress ink. Then I am adding in some blue. I'm using chipped sapphire for that. And there's honestly no right or wrong when it comes to ink blending these galaxy backgrounds. It's a very forgiving technique, and you can just play around until you're happy with your results. I use a lot of black soot just to blend everything together, and then I constantly went back in with my purple and with the blue and then back to the black. It's really fun and really easy, and I spent about 10 minutes I think on this background, and I just had a lot of fun. So after using a lot of black, I went ahead and I did some more blending, and this time I'm using Dusty Concord just to kind of make that purple even a little bit more darker, and so that it matches the blue a little bit better. So after blending everything together, I just sprayed some water in my hand, and then I am flicking the water onto my piece of cardstock for a little bit extra dimension. I picked up those little droplets with a clean Kleenex wipe. So I'm just picking up those little puddles of water. And then once that was dry, I am using the snowy backdrop die cut from Fawn to die cut a really cool and spacey background. So this isn't just a winter themed die cut, you can use it for everyday cards as well. So I'm using the Spellbinders tool and one tool to pick out those little pieces that were left. And then I am die cutting a border using a die from Pretty Pink Posh. So I am temporarily adhering this die to my paper and then I die cut it. Then I'm going to create some black cardstock for that little border piece. You can just use regular black cardstock, but since I don't have a lot of black cardstock left, I decided to create my own. Then after creating the black cardstock, I am adhering my galaxy piece to this piece of paper using the Tonic Nuvo deluxe adhesive, which is a really great adhesive for cardstock or tiny elements. So I'm carefully lining that up and then pressing that down a little bit and making sure it's lined up correctly. And it's time to fill up those little holes, and I had a lot of fun with this. I'm using some Tonic Nuvo drops. I'm using 4 colors in total. I am using Dazzling Blue, Ruby Slippers, Midnight Sky, and Purple Rain. I also have the white sparkle Nouveau drop over there. I didn't end up using it. I only used these 4 darker shades that match with the distress inks I used. So these Nouveau drops take about 12 hours or so before they're completely dry. So I let that dry overnight before moving on. Then I die cut this background once more, and this time I'm using the black Sapphire glitter cardstock from Tonic. And I'm just going to use the little hearts to fill up my background. I used a little bit of the Tonic Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I'm just kind of dipping the little stars in the glue, and then I'm positioning it with my tweezers. So I'll use the other piece of the die for an upcoming project, since I have a really pretty and sparkly background right now, and I'll make sure to use it on a future card. So I'm just going to temporarily put those little aliens on there just to figure out where I have to emboss my sentiment. Then after lining up these stamps, I'm going to prep my cardstock with some kitchen flour to remove the static cling. You can use an embossing buddy or the Martha Stewart powder tool. I just prefer to use regular kitchen flour since I always have that on hand. So I inked up my sentiment with Versamark ink since I'll be doing some heat embossing. And then after stamping it, it's time to sprinkle on the opaque bright white embossing powder from Wow. This is the super fine version and it's my favorite white embossing powder ever. Using a paintbrush just to clean up those edges to remove the kitchen flour. And then I'm heat setting this embossing powder, and then you'll have a really pretty embossed sentiment, and I think that it really pops on the black background. Then I'm adhering a large piece of Fawn foam on the back side of my galaxy piece using Tonic's Nuvo deluxe adhesive. Of course, you could also just use some foam squares, that would work as well. Then I adhered that piece onto a gray standard size note card. This is the color steel gray, and I believe it's from my favorite things. I'm not 100% sure, but I look it up, and then I will link to the cardstock in my supply list in my blog post. So I also am going to add a little bit of shimmer and shine to those aliens. First, I'm adding a little bit of clear glitter using the Nouveau Shimmer Sparkle pen, and then I'm adding a layer of the Tonic Nuvo's Crystal Glaze for some extra dimension and shine. So that finishes up my card in this video. Thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure to check out my blog post for more information, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.